My name is Barsanti. I'm CEO and founder of StorageLife. If you want to learn more, go to StorageLife.com. Cool, let's dive in, guys. Today, we're going to talk about optimizing your revenue, your ROI, cash flow, your overall equity. How do we make more money? You got the facility, you have the facilities, now what? How do we drive revenue? My operational manager is the best in the business. He worked previously for REITs for 15 years and has brought over all the kind of tricks and habits and automations that he's carried along the way. He's also lived at facilities. He's been boots on the ground. He is incredible. We're so lucky to have him. And so we've been able to really do things a lot more efficiently. There's a few different ways to operate a storage facility. You can do it fully remotely. As some of you guys may know, we buy all over the country. There's maybe one of my facilities I can get 2.5 hours, and the rest, it's at least a day drive. And it's evolved. When you're buying your first facility or two, you don't have necessarily a lot of capital or any extra revenue, depending on the size of the facility. So how you manage that property is huge. And third-party property managers, I'm not a big fan of. They've gotten really popular, as storage did as well. And I think they took advantage of that, paying 6% of your gross revenue, paying people lots of money so it makes it easier for them to manage the property. I'm not saying they're all bad, but I'm just saying it costs you a lot of money. So I'm not a fan. We've tried third-party property management. In fact, one of the biggest in the business, and we had a pretty rough experience. So that was a quick eye-opener for us, saying we believe we can do this better than they can, at least comparable, but saving us a ton of cash. We have a hybrid on some of our facilities where they're being ran by a couple of our managers who they live in their one place, but they're answering phones for 4 or 5 different facilities on a remote location. And then we have our boots on the ground, and that's worked out really well. Our average expense ratio across the portfolio, we're averaging about, I think, 29%. That's across our entire portfolio, which is low. Some facilities were operating at like 22, 23% expense ratio, was also really low. But there's a catch to that, right? So we've done really well, especially when the market's done really well, and when the self-storage industry was on fire, and with COVID and all that stuff. The longer we've owned, the more we've realized how important it is to squeeze out all the revenue you can, right? Your portfolio grows, your opportunities for adding, all these dollar amounts to every month of revenue, and it really adds up significantly. So our perspectives change. Originally, we were making our money going in, and I cared less about the tenant fees and the late fees and the lien fees and all that stuff. I cared less about that. But again, as your portfolio grows, every dollar counts. And then when you start seeing the significant difference of really being a tight, great operator with all the tricks, you really start seeing that revenue go up substantially. Or if you're buying one facility and it's your retirement, every dollar counts, right? So I'm going to talk about a few different points to this. One being, let's go through a quick master fee schedule. Every state's different. You got to make sure you're within the law of your state, what you're doing. But there's a bunch of fees, right? There's late fees, overlock fees, lock cutting fees, inventory fees, lien fees, judicial eviction fees, cleaning, damage, lock rental, cleaning deposit, admin, chargeback. All these things should be a part of your facility if they coincide with the laws of your state. All these different fees, they should be in place. Tenant insurance, we finally, it took the plunge. It was scary at first, but now we acquire tenant insurance across the board. It's a requirement. If somebody fights back, they can prove that their homeowners covers their storage facility. Normally it does not. That was a big revenue driver for us. So there's all these little fees, right? And on top of that, what you'll find, and then we're going to go into more of the management side of this, but good managers, good tight ran facilities, one of the key driving points is obviously your delinquency rates, your auctions, your evictions, your lien letters. Everything's very, very, very much in place on time, and you don't have lag time of when you're getting tenants out that aren't paying. You have that like a well-oiled machine. You'll start really you'll start getting to reap the benefits of more revenue just by tightening up your delinquent tenants. Staying on top of your delinquent accounts is huge. Okay, so let's get more into the management side of things. And one thing that my OM Dion has really shed light on is, hey, look, it's great to have an expense ratio of 20-something%. And in some markets, you can really get away with that, or depending on the size of the facility. On the flip side, if you pay a little bit more in management, you might actually have a huge revenue jump. And so the revenue you start making by a better manager, again, costing you a little bit more on the front end, but making you a lot more on the back end. So let's break that down a little bit further. So my manager's running 3 to 4 facilities at a time. My buddy just started a new company that's Happy Storage. And the cool thing about that is actually he trained his kind of quasi call center management team to operate storage from my operational manager. So they were trained from the pros, but they're answering all the calls. So this is cutting down people's costs significantly. I don't like call centers. We've had a bad experience. I've heard horror stories from all the call centers, the big ones. Horror stories. For us, you make your money when you answer the phone 7 days a week till 10 p.m. at night. You don't miss a call, and you try not to miss a rental. If you get a tenant on the phone, it's not, yes, I have units. Okay, cool, call me back. It's, hey, how can we get this unit rented to you now? And so I started on the phones for my first facility. I've experienced all of that, and having somebody on that other line that can sell a unit is huge. Sell a unit, sell insurance, have them leave a review, and put them on auto pay. That's a grand slam. You got to be doing that, right? And so when you start paying a little more, when you find somebody, a manager who cares a little bit more, we usually have our boots on the ground go once a week, and sometimes they're just a handyman that lives in the area. But if you can find somebody that can answer the phones and visit your facility instead of once a week, 2-3 times a week, and now there's more of a presence there at that facility, they're running into potential clients wanting to rent. Tenants are a little bit more comfortable seeing somebody there more a week. Obviously, trash, aesthetics is cleaned up, but it'll start bringing a different feeling to your facility. Again, this is coming from me who's remote managed the majority of our deals for the last 5 years. And we're finally starting to go, okay, in certain markets, we want somebody there. And we have done that once or twice on our bigger facilities or facilities that were on a heavy lease up. But once you start doing that, the main trick today that I want to talk about is taking the time, finding the right person, finding a strong boots on the ground who potentially can also answer the phones for you, and hire them for actually minimum wage. Close to it. Send out that ad for minimum wage in Oklahoma. It was like $7 an hour, which is crazy to think. Now, will you end up paying $7 an hour? No, you'll probably pay a little bit more if you find someone really good and really strong. Their hourly pay is still going to be low. But when you find somebody who's willing to do that and you really feel like they're qualified and a strong person, you already have broke through the first kind of major barrier, and that's, holy cow, I have somebody that I think is going to kick butt and they're willing to work less. And then you come and you bring in the bonus structure. The bonus structure is designed to help them make a lot more money. And it's all incentive based, of course, right? It's helping them stay accountable. The bonus structure is so cool because now they're incentivized to perform even more. You're looping them in. You're saying, hey, look, this is your base pay, but this is what we should be doing with every tenant. This is how we should be performing. This is what we expect out of you. So as a good hiring manager or owner, you're making sure expectations are laid out. You're going to create an accountability, right? And then they know what they need to do. You're here to perform, and I'm going to help you do that. And by helping you is giving you the tools, helping you understand, and then now you're part of the team. Let's drive revenue together, because guess what? If we do, we both make money. The heavy bonus structure is so key. Dion's been huge on this, but this idea of like, don't expect your managers just to be able to get reviews and auto pay just because you tell them to. Sure, it'll work, but not very well. Incentivize them, make them part of the end result. Everybody's end result is make more money. And I'm not saying that like superficially, but like that's your business, right? Drive revenue and keep customers happy, right? Keep a place safe, keep it clean, keep people feeling good, and make your business more money. The bonus structures on auto pay, tenant insurance, Google review, maybe it's certain units that you need more filled up, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden now your manager's fired up. They're making more money. They're part of the team. You guys have the same goal. Check it out, our revenue is going up. And imagine when a manager starts seeing that, holy cow, look what I've done. Now they feel good. They're a part of the team. They're not just a robotic employee. I can't pound home enough this idea of taking the time. It's going to be harder finding somebody really good, willing to work for close to a minimum wage, and then you're going to help them overcome a low pay rate by just crushing it with bonus and incentives, right? So this person can be a boots on the ground, and it can be the person answering your phones. You don't have to pay them 40 hours a week. You could work something out with them where they're actually making, working roughly 20 hours a week, because we know there's a lot of downtime. They may not get a call for 3 days straight or whatever that is. So instead of finding a 40-hour-a-week person, you find somebody 20 hours a week, and that's going to roughly cover how much they're working. Now, if they have a crazy busy period, let me know. You can check the call log and see if that's, the case and what's going on. That's fine. And it's working well for people. In the past, we looked for, kind of the perfect avatar would be a retired lady, maybe 60, wanted part-time work, happy to answer the phone 7 days a week. That's the hardest part to find. And working from home, it was really cool. Those have been a great kind of avatar for our managers. However, there are limitations about them going to the facility, maybe being handy enough or physically able to do some of the tasks, where the other avatar that we're looking at now is somebody maybe a little bit younger, maybe a part-time broker or a part-time professional that you're like, oh, they would never work for minimum wage. But actually, if they have a part-time gig that they're not tied down to 40 hours a week, and they can answer the phone, learn the storage business, and make some extra bonus money and be a part of something bigger, well, for the right person, that's a huge extra cool job. Again, they get to learn the business. So take the time on the front end. Know that there are people out there that actually can run and help you operate a facility that are good. They're really good. And then you focus on all the driving revenue points, right? You got a lot of units to rent. You got crazy specials. You're getting people in the door. You're getting those reviews. Your SEO and marketing is strong. And then all of the delinquent accounts you're staying on top of. And this all starts with not only you, but it starts with the person you hire that's going to really treat your facility like it's their own. Can't stress this enough. This has been a huge game changer. Hope this helps. Should help increase revenue significantly. We'll see you next week. Thank you guys so much. Peace.